Once upon a time, in the lush hills of Ibadan, stood St. Catherine's Girls' Boarding School. It was an old institution filled with history, where the girls were trained not only in academics, but also in leadership and resilience. The towering gates, shaded paths, and whitewashed walls made it a stunning sight. But there was something unusual about this school, something that both fascinated and terrified the girls who studied there. It wasn't the ancient trees or the strict discipline. It was a mysterious girl named RR was quiet, always keeping to herself, but her presence was undeniable. She had this special aura that made people feel comfortable, as though her very being could calm anyone. The teachers admired her, the students respected her, and everyone noticed her, especially because of her hair. R's hair was different. It was thick, black, and shone like polished glass. It flowed down her back in long, silky waves, catching the sunlight or gleaming even in the dimmest corners. Every week, R would appear with a new and stunning hairstyle, a complex braid, an elegant crown, or twists so perfect they seemed magical. The other girls at St. Catherine's couldn't understand it. How could R's hair always look so flawless when no one ever saw her getting it done? She never visited the school's hairstylist, Mama Jo, whose sharp tongue and skilled hands had tamed the hair of every other girl at the school. One night, long after lights out, while everyone slept, R sat upright in her bed. She looked around the room to make sure everyone was fast asleep, then silently slipped out. She tiptoed down the cold corridors to the empty school bathroom, locking the door behind her. The dim light flickered as she reached up to her head and gently twisted her neck. To anyone watching, it would have been an impossible sight. Her head came off, just like a puzzle piece. With her head placed calmly in her lap, R began to braid her hair, her fingers moving with incredible speed and precision. It was a sight no one would ever believe. A headless girl, braiding her own hair perfectly, with her face peaceful, as though she were in deep meditation. A soft, ancient lullaby filled the air, its haunting melody drifting from her lips, though her mouth never moved. Come Monday morning, R's hair was perfect, as always. The other girls would watch her in awe, whispering to each other, wondering how she managed it. But no one knew her secret, and R never told. She just smiled, her beautiful hair shimmering like a dark, mysterious river. But one girl, Doke, R's closest bunkmate, couldn't let the mystery go. Over time, jealousy gnawed at her. No matter how hard she tried, no matter how beautiful or clever she was, the other girls always gravitated toward R. Doke began to watch her, secretly hoping to uncover how R managed to have such perfect hair. One night, unable to resist any longer, Doke followed R. She waited patiently, pretending to sleep, until R slipped out of bed and crept towards the bathroom. Doke followed at a distance, her heart pounding with a mix of fear and excitement. When she peeked through the bathroom door, what she saw made her blood run cold. There was R, sitting calmly, head in her lap, braiding her hair as if it was the most natural thing in the world. Doke froze, eyes wide in disbelief. She couldn't comprehend what she was seeing. Was this some kind of magic? Or something darker? As she stood there, trembling, R's head slowly turned, her eyes locking onto Doke's. The eerie lullaby stopped, and in the chilling silence that followed, R spoke softly. "Well, I guess you've discovered my secret." And in that moment, Doke knew she had stumbled upon something far more ancient and terrifying than she could have ever imagined. R's secret was no ordinary mystery. It was something that haunted the very essence of the school, an unsettling truth that would stay with Doke forever. The next morning, Doke didn't say a word to anyone. She couldn't. R's hair, as always, was perfect, and the other girls marveled at it. But Doke now knew that some mysteries were better left unsolved. tiled floor of the bathroom seemed to spin around her. The room felt cold, and a strange chill ran down her spine as she clutched at the wall for support. R continued to speak, her head still in her lap, her voice strangely soothing despite the horrifying scene. "I never meant for anyone to find out," R said, her voice soft, "but I suppose it was only a matter of time." Doak could barely breathe. Her mind raced, trying to understand what she was seeing and hearing. What are you?" she finally managed to whisper, her voice trembling. R's head smiled gently. "I'm just like you, Doak. I'm no monster. But I come from a long line of women who have been blessed with a special gift. We have a bond with our hair, one that goes beyond the ordinary." Doak's eyes were wide with shock, her heart pounding in her chest. She wanted to run, to get away from this strange, terrifying thing that she couldn't comprehend, but her feet wouldn't move. R's body continued braiding, her hands moving with supernatural grace and speed. "This gift has been passed down through generations," she continued. "It allows us to detach our heads and braid our hair perfectly, no matter how complex the style. It's a tradition, a secret." Doak felt her legs shaking, her knees about to give way. Why? Why keep it a secret? R's head tilted slightly, as if contemplating the question. "It's not something the world would understand, Doak. People fear what they don't know. They would see us as monsters, as you probably do now." Doak swallowed hard. "But how do you do it? Why do you do it?" R smiled again, but this time there was a sadness in her eyes. "It's a part of who we are. It's our legacy. Our hair holds power, Doak. Power that you and the others can't even begin to understand. But with that power comes responsibility. We must keep it hidden, or risk losing everything." Doak was trembling now, her mind a whirl of confusion, fear, and awe. She glanced down at R's headless body, still braiding with expert precision. The sight was so surreal, so beyond anything she could have imagined. "And now that you know my secret," R's voice trailed off, her eyes locking onto Doak's with an intensity that made her heart stop. Doak took a step back, her mind racing with panic. "I won't tell anyone," she whispered, her voice shaky. "I swear I won't." R's head regarded her calmly for a moment before nodding slowly. "I believe you, Doak, but you must understand, if anyone were to find out, it wouldn't just be me who suffers. My entire family would be at risk. Our lineage, our legacy, would be destroyed." Doak nodded quickly, her body trembling. "I won't say a word, I promise." R's head smiled once more. "Thank you." And with that, R's body finished the last braid, her hands moving with a final flourish as she tied off the intricate waterfall crown. Slowly, carefully, her body lifted her head and placed it back onto her neck. With a gentle twist, it clicked back into place as if nothing had ever happened. R stood up, adjusting her gown, her serene smile never fading. "Let's go back to the dormitory," R said softly. "It's late, and we both need our rest." Doak could barely move as she followed R out of the bathroom and down the darkened hallway. Her mind was still reeling from what she had witnessed, and she couldn't shake the eerie feeling that had settled deep in her bones. But as they walked side by side, R turned to her and said, "Remember, Doak, some secrets are meant to stay hidden, for both our sakes." Doak nodded silently, her heart heavy with the weight of what she now knew. And from that day forward, Doak never spoke of what she had seen. She kept R's secret buried deep within her, knowing that the truth was far too strange, far too dangerous to ever be revealed. But every time she saw R glide across the courtyard, her hair glistening in the sunlight, Doak couldn't help but feel a chill down her spine, a reminder of the night she had uncovered the impossible. The mystery of R's hair remained unsolved to the other girls at St. Catherine's, but for Doak, it was a secret she would carry with her forever. a secret that was both beautiful and terrifying. Despite her promise, Doke could never shake the image of R's body, her head casually resting in her lap as she braided her hair with eerie grace. Every time she saw R in class or during meals, the memory would bubble to the surface, filling her with a mix of fear and fascination. At first, Doke tried to avoid R. She couldn't bear being near her, knowing what she knew. But R seemed to sense this, and one day, during lunch, she sat beside Doke, her expression calm, as if nothing had changed between them. "You seem distant," R said quietly, not looking at Doke, but focusing on her food. "I thought we agreed to keep things normal." Doke stiffened, her fork halfway to her mouth. I'm not trying to be weird. I don't know how to act around you now." R finally looked at her, her eyes soft but unreadable. "I'm still the same person, Doke. I'm just different in ways you didn't expect." Doke nodded, but the unease didn't leave her. She glanced at R's perfect braid, shining in the light like a halo, and shivered. Weeks passed, and Doke gradually adjusted to knowing R's secret. She pretended like everything was normal, even though every now and then she'd catch herself staring at R's hair, wondering how it all worked. What kind of strange magic or ability allowed her to remove her head like that? But she kept her promise. She didn't tell anyone. Then, one night, something happened that made her question everything again. It was late, and Doke was returning from the library after cramming for an upcoming test. As she made her way back to the dormitory, the hallways dimly lit, she heard a faint sound coming from one of the study rooms down the corridor. Curiosity got the better of her, and she approached slowly, the soft murmur growing clearer with each step. When she peeked inside the room, her heart nearly stopped. R was there, sitting at a table with another girl, Emily, one of the quietest students in their year. But what shocked Doke wasn't the sight of R studying with someone else. It was the fact that Emily's head was resting in her lap, her body sitting upright, as R gently braided her hair, just like she had done with her own. Doke's breath caught in her throat. Another one? How many more of them were there? She backed away quickly, her pulse racing. This couldn't be real. Could Emily do the same thing as R? Was this some kind of strange ritual they shared? Suddenly, R's eyes flicked up, meeting Doke's through the gap in the door. Her face was expressionless, but there was a flicker of recognition in her gaze. Doke felt frozen in place, caught in the act, unable to move. R stood up, slowly placing Emily's head back onto her body with the same practiced care she had shown before. Emily blinked, as if waking from a dream, completely unaware of Doke's presence. Without a word, R motioned for her to leave. Doke turned and fled, her mind racing with fear and confusion. What was happening? How many girls at St. Catherine's shared this ability? Were they all part of some secret group, hidden in plain sight? As she reached her room and locked the door behind her, Doke leaned against it, trying to steady her breathing. The secret she thought she was keeping wasn't just ours anymore. There were others. And she had stumbled into something far more complicated, far more dangerous than she had ever imagined. Days passed, and Doke tried to act normal, but she was constantly on edge. Every time she saw Emily or any of the other girls at school, she wondered if they, too, had this strange power. How deep did this secret go? One evening, R approached Doke in the courtyard, her expression calm but serious. "We need to talk," she said, her voice low. Doke followed her to a quiet corner of the school grounds, her heart pounding in her chest. "You saw Emily," R said softly, not asking but stating it as fact. Doke nodded, her throat dry. How many of you are there?" R smiled faintly, but there was no warmth in it. "More than you think." Doke swallowed hard. "What are you? Is this some kind of cult?" R shook her head. It's not a cult, Doke. It's a legacy passed down through generations. We don't choose this life. It chooses us. Our mothers, our grandmothers, they all had the same gift. And one day, so will our daughters. Doke's mind reeled. But why? Why keep it hidden? Why not tell the world? R's smile faded. Because the world wouldn't understand. They would fear us. They'd see us as freaks, as something unnatural. We've learned over the centuries that it's safer this way. Doke's voice trembled. And what happens to people who find out? People like me? R's gaze softened slightly. You've kept our secret so far, Doke. That's why you're still safe. But there are others who might not be as understanding. Doke felt a chill run down her spine. What do you mean? R glanced around, as if making sure no one was listening. There are rules, Doke. Rules that have been in place for centuries. Anyone who threatens to expose us, anyone who can't be trusted, well, let's just say they don't last very long. Doke's heart raced. Are you saying you'd kill me? R's expression darkened. Not me, but there are others who would, without hesitation, to protect the secret. Doke felt a wave of panic rise in her chest. I swear I won't tell anyone. I haven't told anyone. R nodded. I know. And as long as you keep it that way, you'll be fine. Doke exhaled shakily, her mind racing with fear and uncertainty. She was in too deep now. She knew too much. And there was no way out. From that day on, Doke's life at St. Catherine's was never the same. She walked the halls in constant fear, always watching her back, always wondering if the next girl she passed in the corridor was one of them. The secret weighed heavily on her, a constant reminder that she was living among something strange and dangerous. And as the months went by, Doke realized that she had no choice but to keep the secret, because in the world of St. Catherine's, secrets weren't just hidden, they were protected at all costs. If you enjoyed this video, I'm sure you would enjoy this one about a girl who sent a twin sister to school to take revenge on our bullies. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.